35 Rules I Must Follow as a Fire Lookout. You won't believe 7 at midnight. In the shadow of the towering pines, where the air crackles with mystery, lies a decrepit fire lookout tower. Legend has it, there are rules, grim and bizarre, that the watchers must obey. 35 rules, to be exact. And when the clock strikes midnight, 7 demands attention. They say if you break it, you might just attract a wildfire of supernatural proportions all alone up there. The wind whispers secrets that could chill your bones. Brianna sat, heart pounding, staring at the fading light of dusk. Her hands trembled around her cup of coffee. Just a job, she muttered. But what started as an ordinary assignment quickly morphed into something unsettling. It began with strange sounds echoing through the woods, branches snapping, distant whispers like a cruel wind playing tricks. She glanced outside, and shadows danced just beyond her reach, dark figures flickering in the corner of her eye. That was the first strange element, an unsettling feeling that the trees were watching her. As night descended, the atmosphere shifted. The once serene landscape felt alive, like a heartbeat thrumming through the ground. Brianna sensed a presence. She felt it crawling up her spine, whispering like the wind, "You don't belong here." The walls closed in, the darkness swallowing the light. Then, the radio crackled to life with an eerie voice, "Remember rule number 7, do not summon what lies beyond." Panic surged through her, a tightness in her chest. What could it mean? And why was she here, alone? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The hour grew late, tension thick as fog. The moon hid behind clouds, and then, something tapped against the glass. Brianna froze, eyes wide. Was it a branch? Or something far worse? She drew a sharp breath, crawling toward the window. Outside, she spotted movement, a silhouette creeping amongst the trees. It wasn't an animal, that much she knew. It stood completely still, as though waiting. A thought struck her, a moment of clarity mingled with dread. She remembered the old wives' tales whispered among fire watchers, about a creature brought forth by broken rules. Her pulse raced, the fear palpable. Brianna's instincts screamed at her to bolt, to turn and run, yet something held her rooted to that spot. What was that thing? And what would happen if midnight approached unchecked? She felt a deep unease, an electrical pulse in the air before the silence broke once more, the unmistakable sound of a voice, soft and beckoning, "Join us, or be lost forever." In that moment, Brianna realized her fate stood on the edge of a knife. Would she dare to discover the truth behind that chilling voice, or would she flee from the haunted whispers lurking in the dark? The clock inched closer to midnight, and the figure grew closer, sending shivers through her soul. She was about to find out exactly what she was willing to risk to uncover the mystery of Rule 7. What happens next could change everything. The wind howled outside like a wild beast, branches scraping the sides of the tower. Brianna's heart thudded loudly in her ears, drowning out the ominous whispers. The figure beyond the glass remained still, a specter against the tapestry of night. Could it see her? Every instinct told her to hide, but her body betrayed her. She was frozen. "Join us or be lost forever," the voice wove through the air, almost melodic yet dripping with foreboding. Brianna took a shuddering breath. It felt as if the very shadows were alive, hungry to swallow her whole. Suddenly, the lights in the tower flickered, plunging her into near darkness. The unease swelled, and her thoughts twisted into a storm of panic. Time was slipping away. She had to remember Rule 7, what it meant to summon what lies beyond. Images of strange rituals and forgotten lore swirled in her mind, tales from ancient watchmen who had crossed lines that should never be crossed. Reaching for her radio, her fingers shook violently, and a deep sense of dread washed over her. Should she call for help? Would they even believe her? But deep down, she knew whatever awaited on the other side of the glass wouldn't be stopped by a simple plea for aid. The figure stepped closer to the tower, revealing more of itself in the dim light. It was no longer just a shadow, its form twisted and shifted like smoke. Brianna fought the urge to scream. Who or what was it? Make your choice, Brianna. The voice carried an allure that prickled her skin, drawing her nearer to the glass. The moon broke through the clouds for just a second, illuminating the creature partially. Hollow eyes glowed a mesmerizing silver that promised both danger and wonder. It beckoned her closer with an ethereal beauty that felt simultaneously inviting and terrifying. What do you want? She croaked, her voice barely rising above a whisper. The thing tilted its head, a gesture so human yet so utterly wrong. Everything you fear and everything you desire. The words slithered out, wrapping around her heart like a vice. They held a twisted sense of intimacy, as if it could see straight into her soul. Brianna's breath hitched in her throat. The tension coiled within her, tightening like a noose. The clock chimed, each toll echoing through the hollow tower, resonating with her very bones. Midnight. It felt as if the ground beneath her rumbled, shaking the very fabric of reality. What lies beyond? She whispered, realizing too late what she had done. The air crackled, energy dancing wildly. The creature's form twisted in delight, and for a split second, she felt a surge of hope. Perhaps there was a way to escape this nightmare, but what kind of price would she pay? Would she be free, or would she join the horrors accumulated by those who had come before her? Sweat beaded on her forehead, her instincts screaming to run while her heart yearned for answers. The walls pressed in closer, shadows writhed, and a sudden crack like thunder tore through the silence. Brianna was teetering on the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss. Suddenly, the creature lunged forward, hands grasping desperately at the air. Brianna's heart raced as she clutched the radio once more, desperation clawing at her throat. Please. But in that last desperate moment, she realized maybe she wasn't just meant to escape. Maybe she was meant to confront whatever horrors awaited. And then the lights went out completely. In the pitch black, Brianna's scream echoed into the night as the shadows consumed her, leaving only silence in their wake. What awaited her on the other side could only be a whisper away. Darkness enveloped Brianna, thick as molasses, pressing down on her like a great weight. She felt suspended in time, the silence oppressive and suffocating. Every nerve in her body tingled with fear as her mind raced to understand what had just happened. Had she just been consumed by the shadows? Or was she still standing in the tower, trapped in a nightmare that blurred the lines of reality? She strained her ears, waiting for some sign, some sound to break the stillness. Then, a soft rustling brushed against her thoughts, as if the very air was whispering secrets only she could hear. The warmth of the creature's presence lingered, an unsettling comfort that sent a shiver up her spine. Brianna, the voice floated through the darkness, resonating deep within her. You are not lost, not yet. Your true choice is just beginning. Her pulse quickened at the words, each syllable like icy fingers tracing her skin. How could she still hear it? Was this a form of torment, or had the creature merely slipped into her mind, weaving its dark magic? Show yourself. She shouted into the black void, her voice trembling with both fear and defiance. But the darkness around her absorbed her words, swallowing them whole. She moved cautiously, her hands stretched out in front of her as if to ward off whatever might come next. Each step was a journey into her own dread, a descent she was not sure she could afford. And then, just like that, the lights flickered back to life, bathing her in a pale glow that felt otherworldly. But something was off. The tower looked the same yet different, as if the world had shifted slightly out of alignment. Brianna glanced around, her breath quickening as she recognized familiar objects positioned strangely, shadows lingering longer than they should. A mirror hung on the wall, reflecting her own wide-eyed terror. In the glass, she saw not just her own face, but the creature standing behind her, its hollow eyes glimmering with boundless knowledge and cunning. You called to me, it hissed, its voice echoing off the walls, flowing like water over a sharp stone. What do you want with me? Brianna gasped, her heart thundering in her chest, the beast's gaze locking her in place. To guide you, to show you both sides, it purred. You see, there are secrets buried deep within the tower, truths that could set you free or doom you to eternity. But access comes at a cost. Brianna fought against the urge to flee. She needed answers. What truth could be worth the risk? The fabric of her reality twisted again, the air thickening with the weight of choices lingering on the edge. Every secret demands a sacrifice, the creature continued, voice smooth and chilling. Would you give up your safety to embrace the darker parts of yourself? To uncover the truth of Rule 7? Her stomach tightened. Brianna remembered her training, the rules drilled into her head to protect against the unknown. But what if Rule 7 was more than just a guideline? Was there something buried down deep within that waited to be unleashed? I'll discover the truth, she murmured to herself. Even if it risks everything. A flicker of vindication glowed in the creature's eyes, and as its grin spread disturbingly wide, Brianna felt a crack in her resolve. Suddenly, the lights flickered once more, a surge of energy pulsating through her. The tower shook as if resonating with her decision, and the shadows began pouring inward, pulling at her. Embrace it. Face the darkness within. It cried, the walls vibrating with its voice. Wait. She shouted, but the shadows surged forward, wrapping around her like tendrils, dragging her down into a world where light dared not tread. In that split moment, Brianna felt more alive than ever, a flame ignited deep within her. It glowed amidst the uncertainty and chaos, yet fear slid in beside it, wrapping around her soul. What would she find in the depths of this darkness? Would Rule 7 lead her to salvation or damnation? Time stretched and twisted, folding into itself, and Brianna knew she was no longer just a lookout. She was a seeker of truth facing the abyss, and there, patience hung suspended. What hidden eyes watched her from the depths? Brianna felt herself tumbling, the sensation dizzying, every nerve singing in a symphony of chaos and fear as the shadows tightened their grip. It wasn't just darkness now, it was a living entity, pulsating with a malevolent energy. Her heart raced, the primal urge to fight or flee battling against the consuming pull of the shadows. Suddenly, she landed hard on cold, unforgiving ground. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs. Gasping, Brianna pushed herself up, bracing against the chill that seeped into her bones. The brilliance of the tower's light was gone, replaced by an eerie luminescence that flickered like dying stars. Pitch-black expanses loomed ahead, concealing something sinister, something she couldn't quite quantify. Welcome, Brianna. The creature's voice coiled around her, low and alluring, echoing through dimly lit corridors that expanded and contracted like a breathing creature. You've stepped into the realm of truths, where one must confront their darkest fears to truly understand themselves. What do you mean? Her voice trembled but held an edge of defiance. You promised answers. Answers come with a price, it replied, slithering closer, its figure morphing, now seen, now felt. Do you dare pay it? Or will you retreat to the safety of ignorance? The question rattled her like a bell struck in the stillness, the uneasy silence pressed down harder. Behind her, shadows shifted, and her skin crawled with the sensation of countless eyes tracking her movements, peering into her very soul. Face the truth of Rule 7, it urged, voice draping over her like a shroud. What are you willing to sacrifice? Your comfort, your sanity, your very identity? The walls around her pulsed as if in response to her fear, the air thickening with anticipation. Memories flashed in her mind, training sessions spent memorizing the rules, warnings of what lurked beyond. Was Rule 7 about self-preservation? Or was it the key to unlocking immeasurable strength? A choice hung in the air, and she felt its gravity pulling her under. No. You won't manipulate me. Brianna shouted, finding new strength as her fear began to morph into anger. I know there's something you're hiding. The creature laughed, a sound that wrapped around her, tightening like a storm's grip. You may think you know, but the truth is stranger than the darkness you fear. Embrace it. Allow the shadows to reveal your true self. In a moment of clarity, Brianna remembered the stories told around campfires, the lore of those who had ventured into darkness and returned changed forever. She could feel the weight of unresolved questions resting on her shoulders, the chilling reminder of what was at stake. What sacrifices had they made to return whole, if at all? Around her, whispers crawled from the depths of the shadows, tugging at her sanity. Brianna, become one with us, they beckoned, their voices weaving a tapestry of temptation. The price is merely a fraction of who you think you are. With a deep breath, she steeled herself. I will not be a prisoner of my fears, she shouted, forcing herself to move forward, stifling each rising panic. The shadows recoiled momentarily, surprised by her resolve. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted, opening into a yawning chasm, revealing a beacon deep within the darkness, a glimmer of shimmering light, like a star veiled in despair. Every instinct screamed to take a step back, but she felt the current of curiosity coursing through her veins. Is that the truth? Brianna whispered, a mix of dread and hope mounting within her. Is it worth all that I could lose? Only by choosing to seek can you discover the shadows within. With her heart thundering in her chest, she edged closer, feeling the warmth of the light weaving around her. Something deep within whispered, promising clarity. But the creature's cackle echoed louder. Choose wisely, Brianna. The shadows may not free you, but they will change you. Before she could ponder what that meant, the light flickered, and the ground shook beneath her, threatening to swallow her whole. Panic surged, ripping through her thoughts as she prepared to leap into the unknown, but the real question still lingered: could she trust the promise of revelations hidden within darkness, or was it all just another trap waiting to ensnare her very essence? The light flickered once more, and as she made her choice, another voice hissed from the shadows, you should have stayed away, brave seeker. What consequences awaited her on the other side of this choice? Brianna's heart pounded as she teetered on the edge, the whispers closing in around her. She inhaled sharply, the scent of damp earth and shadows choking her breath. The light flickered once more, pulsating with an intensity that felt alive, beckoning her into its embrace. She didn't have time to think about the past, only a split second remained for her to act. With a fierce resolve, Brianna leaped into the shimmering expanse, tumbling headfirst into a vortex of dazzling light. A surge of warmth enveloped her, igniting every nerve ending like a flickering flame. She made her choice. But the moment she crossed the threshold, the warmth snuffed out, plunging her into an icy void. Another tumble, another fall into darkness, tearing through the fabric of her existence. She landed with a bone-jarring thud on a different surface, soft yet unyielding. Before she could sit up, a voice echoed around her, layered and distorted. You embraced your fears, child, but do you possess the will to navigate what comes next? Pushing herself upright, Brianna squinted into the shimmering haze that surrounded her. Shadows danced at the periphery of her vision, twisting with laughter that seemed both alien and familiar. She felt a simmering dread curl tightly in her gut. Where are you? She demanded, her voice shaking yet firm. Show yourself. From the folds of darkness, the creature emerged, its form more pronounced now. Jagged edges carved through the shifting shadows, allowing Brianna to see flashes of its grotesque face. Its crooked mouth split into a smile, revealing jagged teeth that glimmered like shards of glass. You wanted the truth, and here you are, it cooed, its voice oozing mockery. But I must remind you, truths have many forms, and not all will lead you to healing. Get to the point. Brianna clenched her fists, adrenaline powering her frustration. What truth do you have for me? With an exaggerated gesture, the creature pointed toward the swirling light. You witnessed but a hint of what could be. Now, choose, dive deeper into the light to seek its heart, or allow the shadows to consume you entirely. Each choice bears a cost, and the price will shape who you become. Brianna hesitated, inner turmoil roiling within. The light flickered again, sending ripples through the air. Could it hold the answers she sought? Or was it merely another prison of deception? What if I refuse? She asked, voice more steady now. The creature chuckled, low and sinister. Refusal leads to stagnation. Life is but a series of choices, vibrant and dark alike. Denial brings madness, and the shadows yearn for those foolish enough to turn away. Panic washed over her as images of lost friends and life choices swirled in her mind. The stories of sacrifice, what if they were true? What if buried in the depths of her being lay the key to unlocking her true strength? Then I will embrace what lies ahead. She shouted, conviction boiling deep within. The light trembled, fluttering like a heartbeat, as she took a step toward it. The creature shrieked, its form shifting violently. You think you're in control, but every step you take is a descent into chaos. Prepare to learn the true meaning of sacrifice. Brianna felt a jolt of fear but pressed on, unwinding the ties that bound her. With each step, the shadows lunged at her, whispering terrifying secrets that clawed at the edges of her mind. Panic fluttered, her breath came in short gasps. Just as she felt the warmth of hope break through the gloom, a piercing scream echoed around her, shattering the fragile peace. The shadows thickened, swirling like a tempest around her body, whispering threats she could barely comprehend. Don't look back, don't listen. She chanted, forcing herself to focus on the light. Each heartbeat quickened, the ground shaking beneath her like the fury of a storm. In that moment, she realized this choice was about more than just her own fears. It was about redemption for the ones she lost, the ones who took the plunge before her. But as she braced for what lay ahead, a new voice slithered through the dark, taunting her resolve. You're playing with fire, Brianna. What if the shadows have already chosen for you? The ground shifted again, and she felt everything tremble beneath her. Would the light sustain her, or was it merely a bait for the shadows' cruel games? The path ahead darkened, and she felt the pull of both forces, waiting for her to make a choice that could alter more than her fate. What awaited her as she approached the nexus of light and shadow? Could she unearth the strength buried within her, or would she become another lost soul in this relentless abyss? The moment Brianna stepped closer to the light, a surge of energy washed over her. It felt electric, humming through her skin like the buzz before a storm. She could hear the shadows whisper more clearly now, their voices a cacophony of fear, regret, and despair. Each step she took felt like a challenge, a declaration against the chaos cloaked in darkness. Suddenly, the creature lunged forward, blocking her path. You think you can just walk past them? All who enter must answer to the shadows first. Its grin widened, teeth glinting like cruel stars in a black sky. Answer what? Brianna's voice cracked, but she held her ground. The shadows twisted, closing in on her, their whispers morphing into 1,000 frantic voices. Each one tugged at her memories, dragging her back to moments of hesitation and pain. Face your truth. The creature howled, its voice mingling with the shadows. What do you fear the most? Brianna's heart raced. The shadows painted haunting images before her, the faces of her friends, echoes of laughter turned to silence. A knot tightened in her chest as guilt swept over her. She had lost them. Each choice had driven them further away into the abyss of her past. I fear losing control. She shouted, her voice trembling. I fear becoming someone who forgets who she is. The creature cackled, a chilling sound that stung the air. Ah, but you already have. You think you seek the truth, yet you've built your life on layers of lies. The shadows pulsed, intertwining with the light. Brianna fought the urge to turn back, to hide from the confrontation brewing in her heart. Do you want to know why? It continued, its face shifting with glee. Because to uncover your truth, you must confront what you've worked so hard to forget. You must embrace the darkness that dwells within. Only then can you find peace. Brianna's mind raced. Did she truly want to dive into the depths of her own failure and heartache? The choice loomed larger, pressing down on her like a weight she had been carrying for far too long. Memories flooded her, the loss of trust, the betrayals, the nights spent alone in despair. No more running. She declared, her voice steadier now. I will face whatever it is I've hidden away. The shadows recoiled, an echo of surprise pulsing through the darkness. The light flickered, growing brighter, as if eager to respond to her newfound resolve. "Very well," the creature hissed, its expression morphing into something that resembled respect mixed with disdain. "Let us see how brave you truly are." With a roar, the shadows surged toward her, curling around her limbs. Brianna gasped as she was drawn deeper into the light, a whirlwind of memories and regrets swirling faster than ever. Each one felt like a dagger of truth cutting deeper into her soul. Every lost moment, every misstep flashed before her eyes, forcing her to witness the pain of those she had loved and lost. "Accept it," the creature cried, laughter bubbling up like bile. "Know that you cannot change the past, only embrace its weight." Brianna stumbled, struggling against the tide of darkness threatening to consume her. The light pulsed urgently, offering her hope, but the shadows kept clawing, desperate to drag her down. In the depths of despair, a glimmer caught her eye. A face, familiar and warm, her friend Sam, smiling through the darkness. With every ounce of strength, Brianna reached for that spark of light, heart pounding with purpose. "I want to let you take me," she yelled, grasping at the vision of her friend. "I am not defined by my past." Just then, a shriek pierced the air, a voice not from the creature, but from somewhere even deeper. "You think you'll escape? The shadows have eyes everywhere." Brianna froze, her heart chilling at the realization. Was it possible that even within the light, deeper truths lurked? What else awaited her beyond this chaotic battleground? As darkness tightened around her, Brianna faced the pulsing heart of the light. A choice still hung in the air, heavy and electrified. Would she finally break free of the shadows, or would she tumble further into an abyss she couldn't control? She had to act quickly. What would become of her if she lingered too long in this twilight of fear? The shadows closed in, tightening like a vice around Brianna. The flicker of light wavered, battling against the darkness that clung to her like a shroud. She felt a surge of desperation rise within her. Each breath grew heavier, laden with the weight of her fear. In that moment, she understood there was no running left, only confronting this darkness head-on. "Let me go," she screamed, pushing against the suffocating gloom. "I refuse to be trapped by the past." To her shock, the shadows seemed to freeze. For a brief heartbeat, silence enveloped the space, a calm before a storm brewed. Brianna seized the moment. She clung to the vision of Sam, the warmth of their friendship igniting a fire within her fragile heart. "I'm not afraid," she declared, her voice resonating, like a bell tolling in the dead of night. Suddenly, the creature's expression twisted, fury bubbling beneath its skin. "You think strength lies in defiance? You will learn, little girl. The shadows will tear you to pieces." As if on cue, a wave of darkness lunged forward, sharp and jagged, slicing through the light. Brianna felt her resolve flutter as she took a step back. She fought against the urge to retreat. Instead, she focused on Sam's face, his words, the laughter they shared. It fueled her, igniting a flicker of bravery. The shadows started to form grotesque shapes, haunting reminders of her past failings. Images of despair, moments she regretted, marched forward like flesh-hungry phantoms. She saw her mistakes manifesting, taunting her every decision. "You'll never escape this torment," they hissed in a symphony of derision. "Enough!" Brianna shouted, squared her shoulders, and pushed against the surge. "I will not bow to you. I will take my past and make it my strength." With those words, the light flared, as if responding to the raw desperation in her heart. Each pulse felt like a heartbeat, quickening and drawing her closer to the core of her spirit. The shadows flickered, hesitating at her newfound conviction, and in that moment, she felt the veil of fear begin to lift, but it didn't come without a price. The shrieks intensified, drowning her thoughts, and the darkness lashed out, wrapping around her wrists like chains. The creature screeched in laughter, the sound echoing, deep and malevolent. "You think you can conquer your nature? The truth hurts." Brianna trembled but refused to waver. "Then let it hurt," she cried, feeling the layers of self-doubt peel away. I will bear it all. My grief, my scars, they make me who I am. The shadows recoiled, but doubt clawed at her heart. What if they were right? What if she truly couldn't change? Yet, with the memories of her friends, the laughter and love, she found her footing. This isn't the end for me. In her mind, a memory bloomed, a sunlit afternoon spent with Sam, their laughter carrying through the air. The brightness of that day seeped into her soul, and she drew strength from it, merging the light with every painful whisper of the shadows. Brianna let out a roar, both defiant and empowering, pulling the strength of the light into her core. I will rise. I will take back my truth. Without warning, an earthquake of energy erupted within the light. It blazed, radiating like a supernova, blindingly bright. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of fear piercing the air as Brianna aimed for the heart of the light, eyes locked in fierce determination, but before she could fully break free, darkness surged again, clawing, and dragging her back, pulling at every ounce of her resolve. The creature leered down at her, an ominous threat lingering in its gaze. Flee if you wish, but remember, it snarled, you cannot silence what you fear most. Brianna's heart thundered within her chest. The light flickered, and a new shadow emerged from the chaos, a darker figure, more sinister than anything else. In that terrifying moment, she felt a sharp chill. What could that new shadow mean for her fight? As her grip on the light faltered, Brianna braced herself. What new terror was about to reveal itself? Time slipped like sand between her fingers as she battled the encroaching darkness. Then the question hung heavily in the air: could she truly confront what awaited her, or was she teetering on the edge of despair once more? Brianna's blood ran cold as the new shadow took shape, more formidable than the rest. Its presence felt like icy fingers wrapping around her throat. It was taller, broader, radiating a pressure that made her heart race. The earlier defiance began to wane, swallowed by an overwhelming sense of dread. As the figure stepped closer, visceral nightmares played out in her mind, images of betrayal and loss, sharp like knives cutting through the dark. You think you can fight me? It whispered, its voice a slithering hiss. You'll always be lost, always broken. With each word, Brianna felt the weight of regret heaving on her chest. Memories surged back, moments of weakness, times when she had been too afraid to stand up for herself. Her fists clenched involuntarily. Could this shadow truly speak her truth? Stay back! She shouted, an edge of fear creeping into her once steadfast voice, yet, deep down, she knew this creature wasn't merely a reflection of her past mistakes. It fed on her insecurities, thrived on her doubts. The awareness consumed her. It was as if a part of her wanted to surrender, to accept that darkness was all there was, but there was a flicker of realization in her heart. Just as the light within her had flickered and pulsed with life, there was a power in vulnerability. Memories of those who believed in her, the words of encouragement, the moments filled with laughter flooded her mind. Sam's face appeared like a beacon, forcing the shadows back. No! Brianna yelled. You're not stronger than me. You're just a reflection of my fears. The ominous figure paused, as if struck by a jolt of uncertainty. For a brief second, it seemed to shrink back, the intensity of its darkness wavering. Hope ignited inside Brianna, fighting against despair that clutched tightly. She took a step forward. I want to let you take me down. My scars made me who I am, and I will not allow you to define me. The creature clenched its fists, its form seemed to pulse with anger. You think this blind faith will save you? You think you can resist forever? Her voice shook as she murmured, maybe not forever, but for now, I will fight. The warmth from her memories sparked a fire, igniting courage amid suffocating darkness. As the shadow lunged, Brianna braced herself. She lifted her arms, holding tight to the light she had conjured. With every ounce of grit, she screamed, You are not my master. A blinding flash erupted as the two forces clashed, light meeting dark in a brutal tableau. The energies twirled in a chaotic dance, and for a moment, time halted. Brianna felt every grain of doubt, every ounce of pain, culminating in that violent moment of connection. The sensation was wild and raw. As the force of light started to overwhelm the shadow, she pressed on, fueled by self-acceptance, a hard-earned realization that she was not defined by her past. But even as the radiance brightened, deeper shadows leaked in, more primal and instinctual. The previous terror was nothing compared to this. A relentless roar erupted from the darkness, and Brianna knew with stark clarity that the true battle was just beginning. In one last burst, the initial shadow collapsed, but the new, darker figure remained firm. "You think this is liberation? You will face worse," it growled, an incorporeal smile stretching across its face. Brianna swayed, reeling from the surge of energy. The shadows pressed against her again, relentless, but for now, she stood her ground. Taking a shaky breath, she realized the truth: this struggle wasn't just about her past. It was about accepting who she had become, but in the depths of her soul, a debilitating question arose. Was she truly ready to confront whatever this new darkness called itself? Would she find the strength to continue, or was she setting herself up for an even greater fall? "Can you fight this battle alone?" The shadow taunted, and Brianna braced herself as it lunged forward, ready to plunge her back into the abyss. The darkness surged forward, a storm of malice and fear crashing against her. Brianna felt the pressure like 1,000 pounds on her chest. She gritted her teeth, struggling to breathe as the shadow swirled around her in a chaotic frenzy, daring her to succumb to its despair. "No!" she shouted, desperation lacing her voice. "I want to let you take me." With each word, she willed herself to tap into the lighter memories she had conjured earlier. Those moments didn't just belong to the past, they were alive, raw, real. Friends, triumphs, laughter, they surged within her like a tidal wave. Gathering herself, she flared up with determination, pushing back against the looming shadow that pressed in. The creature growled, its form flickering like a dying light. "You still believe in those ghosts? They won't save you, Brianna. You're alone." She could feel its tendrils curling around her, cold and unforgiving. The weight of isolation threatened to crush her spirit. But the fire inside burned brighter. "I am not alone," she cried, her voice echoing defiantly in the enveloping darkness. "I carry them with me. Every single one." The shadow hesitated, its features shifting as if it were struggling to maintain its form. For a fleeting moment, confusion crossed its dark visage. Brianna seized the chance, pushing forward with a newfound fervor. "I won't be defined by your lies." She focused, conjuring not just the faces, but the fierce love and laughter that surrounded her. Every moment was a shield, every smile a weapon. With rising conviction, she threw her arms out wide, envisioning the darkness shrinking away. "You may creep into my mind, but you will not own my heart." As she spoke, sparks of light erupted from her, golden and radiant, illuminating the shadow's grotesque features. The creature roared, the sound reverberating through the air like a thunderclap, but Brianna stood unyielding. "You are weak. Your power is a facade built on my fears." The light surged forward, clashing violently against the darkness. She felt the burn deep within her bones, her determination fueling the tide. But as the shadow recoiled, another lurked just beyond the edge of her vision, a deeper presence that seemed to drain the life from the air. "What is this?" Brianna wondered, her victories overshadowed by the whispers of another darkness creeping in. It was ancient, primal, a reminder of all she had tried to bury. "No," she breathed, "this can't be happening." In that moment of doubt, the new shadow erupted, wide and vast, and Brianna felt a cold chill sweep through her. It enveloped her, cutting off her breaths, pulling her back into a spiral of fear. Panic surged, clawing at her throat. Brianna, a faint, echoing voice seeped through the shadows, familiar yet haunting. She blinked, squinting against the encroaching gloom. Who was this voice? It felt like home, yet it echoed the pain she had fought to escape. "Sam," she whispered, fear punctuating her question. Silence wrapped around her, thick and suffocating. The shadows loomed over her, waiting for her next move. Could she really face this depth of darkness? The cavernous weight of despair deepened, urging her to curl back into her fears. Clenching her fists, she shook her head, trying to dispel the doubts. She had come too far to turn back. But was she strong enough to push through, even with the fear of losing everything? As the question hung in the air, cold and biting, she realized the real battle was about to begin, a confrontation with the very essence of her soul. With a sudden jolt, Brianna stood tall, ready to face whatever this new shadow represented. Yet, in the depths of her heart, she grappled with the terror of discovering the truth. What if this darkness is actually me? The words slipped from her lips as the shadows tightened their grip, preparing her for a fight she desperately wanted to win. Brianna stood at the edge of her worst nightmare, trembling as the shadow closed in, its tendrils reaching toward her, pulsing with dark energy. She felt the weight of dread wrap around her, threatening to drag her back into the depths of despair. Face what you fear. Embrace it. The creature hissed, its voice echoing like a cruel song in her ears. Its presence was suffocating, a living reminder of everything she ran from. But within the crushing darkness, something flickered inside her, a small, stubborn ember of hope. No! She shouted, her voice rising above the whispers that clawed at her mind. You don't control my fate. Each word resonated with newfound strength, shaking her core. She remembered Sam's face, the moments they spent laughing under the sun. Those memories filled her with warmth, igniting a fire that fused fear with defiance. The shadows surged again, a blend of malice and despair. Critics of her past clawed at her mind, images of lost friends, laughter turned to silence. You can't escape the darkness, Brianna, it taunted. You are built of broken dreams. But I am not just my mistakes. She yelled back, pushing against the darkness. Each word became a weapon, fortified by her memories. I will not be defined by the past. With sudden clarity, she charged forward, her eyes locked onto the heart of the shadow. It flickered momentarily, and within that moment of uncertainty, she felt the luminescence of her own spirit growing brighter. I choose to fight. Determined, she thrust her hands into the shadow, every ounce of her being focused on reclaiming her power. A surge of light exploded from her, brilliant and pure, clashing with the dark figure. The shadows shrieked in agony as the brightness refracted through their forms, pushing them back. Brianna's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her veins like wildfire. But from the ashes of her courage, a darker shadow arose, even more menacing. It clashed like thunder against the brightness. Foolish girl, it sneered, its voice low and mocking. You really think you can hold on to hope? You were never meant to escape. No. Brianna cried, her voice steady now, saturated with conviction. Every piece of me, every scar, has brought me to this moment. I embrace my truth, all of it. The luminous energy vibrated, linked to her belief, amplifying her strength. The light pulsed stronger, intimidating the darkness that surrounded her. Your truth is a lie. The creature shrieked back, but Brianna pressed forward, determined to break free. She envisioned Sam, standing with her through every storm, reminding her that she was never truly alone, even in the worst of times. Each tender memory wrapped around her, morphing into an armor against despair. Sam! She whispered, feeling a rush of forgotten comfort surge within. I will not lose you again. And in that moment, she felt the memories wrap tightly around her heart, a shield against the encroaching shadows. The shadows thrashed, releasing a cacophony of tortured screams, but they were no match for the brightness Brianna had summoned. They faltered, flickering, the deceptive grip of their darkness weakening. This is your last chance, Brianna. Acknowledge your surrender. Brianna steeled herself, determination igniting afresh. I won tea. She roared, feeling the light envelop her completely. I embrace every part 1BE tried to run from. My pain, my loss, my love, everything that makes me whole. The shadows recoiled, shrieking and stumbling. A vortex of light enveloped Brianna, illuminating the depths of the darkness all around. You will not own me. These shadows are a part of me, and they will not define the path I will walk forward. With those words, she surged through the abyss, pushing the shadows back with blinding radiance. At that moment, the darkness shattered, vaporizing into streams of shadow that twisted and evaporated into the atmosphere. Breathless, Brianna stood alone, surrounded by a radiant glow. The path ahead shimmered with promise, she could see an exit beyond the swirling gloom. It was a crossroads, one that led back to the lookout tower, where real light waited. With a determined gait, Brianna stepped forward, ready to face the dawn. She faced her truth in the darkest part of her soul, a battle for her very essence, and now she was free. As she climbed the last step up to the lookout, the first rays of a new day broke. The horizon painted in hues of orange and pink washed over her. The air felt lighter, the weight of the shadows lifted. Brianna wiped tears of relief from her eyes and took a deep breath, a sense of peace washing over her. She was more than her fears, she was a warrior of her own story. No longer a fire lookout merely watching over the looming woods now, she was the blazing flame. And as she stood there, heart aligned with purpose, she knew this wouldn't be the end. It would be the beginning of discovering who she truly was, unbroken, unyielding, and fiercely alive. Now, it's your turn to embrace the journey. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Let us fuel the fire of creativity together. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Your support means everything. Let us make this community stronger.